heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
We are gathered here today to remember this historic occasion, all the great films of history. Let us not fall into disremembrance. I will build a round table, and on it we shall discuss all the films for all time, lest the doom of man should repeat itself.
We shall sit in a circle, and there will be a cake that we will all eat from. After we jizz on this cake, we will call it a circle jerk.
I wasn't expecting that, but I think it's a great idea, and I endorse it emphatically. We're talking Excalibur on the Pot of Dreams, baby.
A wizard's ancient spell.
Into the eyes of the dragon and the despair.
And the lust of a lord.
I must have her. One night with her.
Give birth to an empire.
Behold, the sword of power, Excalibur.
The future has taken root in the present. It is done.
One man, one king.
Orion Pictures presents John Boorman's Excalibur.
Knights of the Round Table, we shall always come together in a circle to hear and tell of deeds good and brave. And I will marry.
Don't you know me, Merlin? Because I'm a creature like you.
Their magic is Merlin.
Are you just a dream?
To some.
A nightmare to others.
Their king is Arthur.
You are my husband.
I must be king first.
Their power is Excalibur.
I swear eternal faith to Arthur, king.
Sir Lancelot, you will be my champion.
Which is that? Greatest quality of knighthood.
True.
We're hides evil then.
Where you never expected.
I protest my innocence.
Were I not king, I would make you pay with your life.
A world of wizards, kings, warriors, queens, swords, sorcery, and desire. Forged of splendor and magic, where future meets past, flesh meets steel, and the only fear is the pain of love. Excalibur, sword of power, sword of kings.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Pod of Dreams. If you listen, we shall pod.
Your circle jerk pod.
Yes, indeed.
There was a cake in this movie, right? I didn't make that up, right? There was
maybe. I don't think they jerked on it. If you imagine people jerking off on it, that was in your head, or you mixed up a different movie with this one.
There was damn near full penetration in this movie, but you're right. I don't think there was actual jerk on a cake, but there was like a cake. Wasn't there some sort of cake that they ate and saw the future or something, or fell in love? Isn't that how he fell in love? He ate the cake. I don't know.
Did you watch the right movie?
I swear there was a cake.
You're mixing the porn you're watching with this movie, sir.
Didn't Merlin get a cake? Or didn't Morgana give him a cake? There's some sort of cake. I'm going to Google it. I'll stop saying the word cake.
You're a real cake eater, I have to say. I don't know. I don't know where the cake stuff comes from. I don't know. Something about that resonated with you on a deep psychological level. I don't think a cake was a major plot point or even a minor one in this movie. There may have been one. There's at least a couple of feast sequences where there could have been a cake in the background.
In Eric's defense, it seemed like the camera lens was smeared with Vaseline the whole movie.
Oh, this movie was grimy as hell. It just felt like greasy, gunky.
Anyway, I'm watching the scene on YouTube right now. The scene is titled Merlin's Thoughts on Love. And it's when Arthur first meets Patrick Stewart's daughter. What is her name? Isn't it? No,
Gwendolyn?
Morgana's Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn,
And
yes.
he wants her to fall in love, and she brings him the cake.
But
It happened. There was a
the cake had nothing to do
pastry.
with the falling in love. I think you made a connection that isn't there. I don't think the cake.
Oh
had
no,
anything
that's
to do
right.
with the love.
She made it, and she said it would help him heal.
I remember.
The thing they
Okay.
jerked on.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I
Yes,
remember
the
now.
lady
I'm
jerked
back.
off on the cake,
Yes.
and then it healed him. Got it.
She
Now I
pulled
remember.
it
Okay.
between her legs, and that's how Excalibur was made.
There we go. Okay, and that's how a person bakes a cake, really. All right.
Right in the oven.
I'll desperately try to get this back on track. We're talking Excalibur.
Why
I
this
picked-
movie was off track. There was nothing on track
No.
with this.
No, this movie is bonkers. It's got problems, lots of them, I think, but I want to talk about it and here's I'm going to read this passage. This is a big part of why I picked it. Not the only one, but so John Boorman's the director.
What are you reading from?
I'm reading from a book called Peter Jackson and the Making of Middle Earth. The author is Ian Nathan. So it's all about the making of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. But this is in the 70s, before Peter Jackson is on the scene at all. He's talking about the history of Lord of the Rings. And so this is John Boorman, the director of Excalibur, had a treaty. He did he's going to do his own version of Lord of the Rings. So here's one of the scenes. Galadriel, in his version of Lord of the Rings, Galadriel seduces Frodo, informing him, "I am that knowledge." Boorman is dragging Chase Tolkien towards puberty, but completely overcompensates. Aragorn revives Eowyn with a magical orgasm, and even plants a hearty kiss upon Boromir's lips at one point. The director also gets carried away with the book's reputation as a hippie totem. Wildflowers are a chronic leitmotif, and the Council of Elrond turns into a Fellini-esque circus performance with dancers, jugglers, and a lively dog that symbolizes fate. So anyway,
He kept the marijuana. He kept the chronic.
yeah, there's some at least thematically a lot of that stuff in this movie. All the stuff about like paganism, and then Christianity dispelling paganism. Anyway, it's a lot going on in this movie, but that was like, okay, he took some of those ideas and put them in the script for Excalibur. It's a fantasy epic from the early 80s, and it sounded fun, sounded wild. And I guess I wasn't disappointed because I think it was wild. Let's before we even get into the bonkers, Eric, did this movie bore you? Were you bored watching this?
No, not bored. No.
Confused, irritated, maybe.
I think the lack of any sort of coherent through line or plot kind of made me sleepy a little bit. Actually had a little. This movie made me sleepy. I don't know if it had
Not
the
bored,
Denis
but sleepy?
It had the Denis Villeneuve effect that Kevin has when he watches one of those. Made me
Interesting.
sleepy.
No, I get it. It has a dreamlike quality because stuff just kind of floats through. It isn't tied together, and any kind of tight narrative stuff just happens. And you can, if you stop,
Jumps
and think
around
about it,
in eras and time periods, hard way. Other than the age of Arthur, there's really no way to tell. Like, okay, now we're 20 years later. We don't know. 50 years later, who knows?
We don't know, right? It's very vague, and you find yourself in this situation. You're like, I guess if I think about it, I can kind of figure out what happened, but really, we probably needed scenes here and there to tie this together to really have it make sense. I don't know that he wanted it to make a ton of literal sense. I mean, it's not confusing. I was never lost, but I was just like, wait, why wouldn't this have happened? I'll get there in a second. I mean, it does technically have a chronology. We starts with this guy who I thought it was Luther, but it's actually Uther, is the Gabriel Byrne character, right? So we get this.
Yeah, Arthur's dad.
Yeah, he's trying to unite the United Kingdom in the Middle Ages, Dark Ages, whatever.
And he does it. The guy does it.
He does it. He's got Excalibur. Begrudgingly, he makes peace. They're at a feast, and
He's horny. But he's horny
a
as
lady
fuck.
dancing. There's a theme. I mean, sex causes a lot of problems in this movie. He sees the wife of this guy he just made peace with.
Had to get it on. He had to get it on.
Must have her.
You know what's bonkers is that was John Boorman's daughter that played Igraine.
Whoa!
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay,
that is wild. Because it was pretty graphic. It was pretty graphic.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of thrusting. Gabriel Byrne was thrusting upon her.
He was going for it. He was like, I have a chance. I am pouncing, literally.
And that 7-year-old Morgana was just like, I'll just watch the whole thing.
Oh man, super creepy. So pause back. We get Merlin, who is kind of a kook. I'd call him kind of kooky. He's this like immortal being, but he's also kind of a bumbling goofus at the same time.
Well, Gabriel Byrne, Uther taunts him, like saying, "You're not a man. You don't have these urges."
Sure.
He's like, isn't he a man? He seems like he's a man.
He's a wizard.
He has a weird metal cap, which I didn't understand.
Oh, the metal hat thing was just you got to get one of those, Ben.
There was like a third eye in the middle of the metal cap, I think.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't really notice that visually, but that adds a little depth to it.
I thought it was just like armor so he didn't get clocked in the head.
Well, he's immortal, right? He's been around since the beginning of time. So can he be killed? Like, could you stab him?
He doesn't age. Yeah.
I don't think he's killable, but we don't know. He just kind of comes
and goes. Doesn't Morgana kill him at one point?
But she does something in a metaphysical way. She freezes him in some primordial plane of existence, the dragon's lair, right? I wouldn't call him being killed. I don't know what to describe, but we'll get there. I mean, I don't think you as a man could come up and slash him with a sword and he'd die. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Like,
I would have tried. I would have wanted to. He bugged the shit out of me in this movie.
I can see. I saw the look of annoyance on your face. Yeah. I liked the goofy portrayal. I thought it was silly. The whole movie is kind of silly in a way that I find endearing, but it also is kind of weirdly serious in a way that I also thought was goofy. I don't know. It's tough to engage with it on a very serious level. I just didn't know
what Merlin's goals were. It seemed like there was a moving target.
He wanted peace. He wanted lasting peace.
Then why did he give Gabriel Byrne the power to be the dragon and go through the mist and go bang the one? Let's
explain that for 1 second. If anybody hasn't seen it, right? So Gabriel Byrne ruins the peace because he wants this guy's wife so bad. He says to Merlin, "Do whatever you have to do. I want one night with her. I want to get it on with her." And he's like, "Fine, you shall have her if I can have the fruit of your lust," or whatever. And Gabriel Byrne, without thinking, immediately agrees. Doesn't think about it. Isn't like, "Oh wait, he's meaning I give him the." Doesn't think about it for even a second. And then Merlin releases fog. 9 days later, Gabriel Byrne is able to be disguised as the woman's actual husband, and he goes to the castle and gets it on with her.
Meanwhile, her husband, the Duke of Cornwall, rides out to try to defeat Uther's army and falls on a pile of weapons somehow, like just a pile of swords.
Yeah,
it was a very ignoble death. It was like, what the hell? Yeah, he just falls off. He swings at a guy and then falls and dies. Merlin's got this. There's this weird thing where like Merlin has to do stuff. He sees some stuff in the future.
Well, yeah,
but not
if
everything.
He knows it's happening, why is he doing any of this? That's part of it.
I think he knows that he has to get to Arthur to get to the peace.
Well, it's kind of like Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings. Like, sort of. Why does he not just use his magic more? I'm always very confused by that too. Like, do your spells, dude. Don't let the hobbits do all this shit. Maybe he has to. Maybe it's like, God interfering with man kind of thing, free will kind of deal.
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as the Lord of the Rings goes, there's a whole. This is all part of God's plan, and everything had to play out exactly this way. And if Gandalf declares himself, he can't beat Sauron and everybody one-on-one. Like, Gandalf wouldn't have the ability to just solve the problems unilaterally. But anyway, he is a bit like Gandalf. You're like, what? He's enacting stuff that he's thought about a long time ago, and he's like, well, I'm going to do it for this guy. I know it's not going to work, but it's going to produce a baby who will become the king for whom it will work. But in the end, Arthur also is like getting rid of Merlin because Merlin goes away forever after Arthur. And it's also the death of paganism to be replaced by Christianity. So there's that whole thing that comes in. So it's weird. Yeah, he could say, I'm not going to do it. But then I think in his other reality, there'd be no peace because there wouldn't be any Arthur to create peace. I don't know. But anyway, baby's born. Gabriel Byrne is killed. He puts Excalibur in the sword. Arthur is given to somebody else to be raised.
He puts Excalibur in the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we get the sword and the stone thing. And then Arthur at first is like another doofus. Like he's a squire for his older brother, right?
who I don't know his
He's
name.
not really his brother.
Right. He doesn't know that until later. But yes, his adopted brother. Sure, not his biological brother. But there's dudes in the woods playing games. Patrick Stewart's there. They're fighting for the right to try to get this sword out of the stone. It's Excalibur. Whoever gets it out will be declared king.
No,
go ahead.
I'm curious about what the actual power of Excalibur was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it actually do it? Glowed? Maybe there was green a lot. I didn't understand that.
You could supercharge it occasionally to destroy stuff, but that only happens a couple of times. Yeah, he doesn't use Excalibur to great effect. He uses it against Lancelot.
Lancelot,
yeah, that's it.
But he does it. He just like dents his armor. It doesn't
And
even
he
really
breaks
do
it.
He breaks the
it.
weapon and the armor. He gets through it. Lancelot tries to block it and it gets destroyed.
But it's just a dent in his chest, really, in the armor. Like, you would think it would like cut his arm off or something. I don't know, something cool.
Yeah, sure. And we see somebody gets an arm chopped off somewhere. I don't remember where, but somewhere that we see it. I don't remember what the fight was, but there's a person who gets their arm chopped off by Excalibur.
There were some like incredibly violent scenes too. It's like a very PG movie, and then there's like the thrusting with the in the beginning of the movie, and then there's naked people in the woods here and there, and then there's some like super violent stuff, but otherwise it's like a total PG movie. It's a weird sort of mixture. We're like, oh wow, I didn't expect seeing that.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Excalibur's powers are very vague. But Arthur's supposed to get his brother's sword, couldn't find it. It was just so ridiculous. He knows
some kid ran off with it.
Yeah,
and then he chases him into the woods.
And then he sees the sword in the stone. He's like, you know what? I'll just try to get this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe. And then he literally hands his brother. He's like, here you go. It's Excalibur. Like super nonchalantly. Like, okay, there's this mythical sword in the stone.
And he should know about this myth because he's part of this machine that is like fighting to try to get the honor to.
So it's the whole reason they're there. It's the whole reason they're there.
So he knows about it.
Right. But he's just like, oh, okay. I guess I pulled it out of the stone. And his dad's like, put it back in. They need to see you pull it out. Just put it back in so everybody can watch. They need to see it. It's like, oh, okay, bloop.
But then immediately he's like, okay, I am king now, and you shall follow me.
It was, this is that abruptness, right? You think it'd be a momentous moment, and it's like so nonchalant. Like, just, oh, okay. And the guys fight over it. We see that there's like Patrick Stewart's like, I saw it, and he is the king according to the rules. And everybody else is like, yeah, he's just some shitty squire. I don't want to follow him. And then he runs off, follows Merlin, and they get like a scene that reminded me of Empire Strikes Back, where like it's dark and there's just bugs and animals crawling, and he's facing his fear.
It's got a little bit Empire Strikes Back vibes to it. This movie,
oh, I'm scared. What do I do? And he's like, do nothing, sleep. And then he wakes up and decides, all right, I'm going to try to be king. Just needed a night to sleep on it. And then he runs in, and there's people going on a siege of Patrick Stewart's castle. And then he just runs in and helps Patrick Stewart, who's his only ally, I guess, in the world. And then he makes peace with the guys and becomes king, basically. But it's so...
Wants to fuck Patrick Stewart's daughter.
Sure, he does. He gets a cake to heal his wound.
Yeah.
With the jerk cake.
But there's a grime to this movie, even here, where I really loved. Like, there's the castle, and it's a real castle somewhere in Ireland they're filming. And the people have these like crude contraptions to try to climb up. Everybody's wearing armor. It looks super uncomfortable. Like hardly anybody ever takes their armor off, and it looks just heavy and murky and
I thought the armor looked
fight.
Cool. It had like a sheen on it that I thought.
Oh yeah, no, it looked great. I'm saying I liked the way I definitely liked the way this movie looked for all its problems. I loved the way it looked for the most part. This is one of the scenes where I liked that siege scene, and they're just fighting in the dirt and the muck and jumping around, and just people just getting stabbed out of the blue, and it looks chaotic. Like there's not a clear flow for who's doing what. It's not like pretty in that sense. It just looks like a big mass of bodies.
The action was the worst part of this movie. It was literally like if you and me and Kevin just threw on fake armor and just like swung at each other with fake swords, and somebody filmed it with an iPhone, and we're like, all right, cut. That's the battle of fucking King Arthur. It's like so stupid. It's like no choreograph. There's no like actual filmmaking with the fight. It's really bad.
Oh, it's chaotic. It's incoherent. You barely know what's going. You don't know who's on what side even. I mean, I like that aspect of it, but it wasn't like visual. It wasn't like gratifying on a narrative level. Like you couldn't. But
if you think like Braveheart versus this, you know, and that's only 15 years apart, maybe.
Oh yeah, the battle sequences of Braveheart are elite, transcendently good. Yeah, absolutely, much better. We know who's fighting whom. We know who's happening. We have an idea about tactics. They set the stage before each confrontation. Right. We get bad guys. This isn't. It's not going for like that either. I mean, it's literally they make peace in the middle of that battle.
It should.
Well, maybe.
I mean, a better Excalibur movie has like cool battles.
Maybe that. Right? I don't think John Boorman cared about that. You want that. I didn't mind that those weren't good. I don't think you were trying to make them good. I mean, it was very low grade, but I didn't mind it. I mean, it's a bunch of dudes who are soon going to be buddies fighting in the muck. I don't know. I liked how nihilistic and chaotic it really was. Like he's trying to make peace, and eventually he's in the mud asking to be knighted so that the guy will follow him. And the guy does. But I mean, you're right that it's not crowd pleasing in that way.
Like a Ridley Scott Excalibur movie is a million times better than this.
Oh, didn't he do the Orlando Bloom movie? Was that Ridley Scott?
Sure. Kingdom of Heaven. It's all right.
Heaven. It's all right.
Kingdom of Heaven. Yeah, it's okay.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't remember ever hearing it was any good. But Ridley Scott did do the fight at the end of The Last Duel, and that was incredible. So sure. There's another version of this where the movie takes everything a little more literally, spends time setting up battles and confrontations, gives you a better idea of the geography of the situation and the power players, right? Like this is Clan Lane, this is Clan Chang, and they hate each other, and they're going to get to this guy's castle for this reason. It would explain that. This movie didn't care about doing any of that shit.
Right. It wanted to tell the entire Arthurian legend in one movie. Just wanted to pack everything in there.
So it just like breezes through it.
Yeah.
And given that they wanted to do it that way, I mean, they just get to really abrupt. I mean, even like their triumphant victory when they finally make peace, it's just like we just see them meeting on a battlefield and they're like, your enemies are slain. You have peace. It's lovely. It's great.
Or is it? Or is your wife and Lancelot
Merlin warned him, like, you're gonna Gwendolyn's gonna be your wife. Or Guinevere.
Lancelot was another character that really gave me some troubles. What the fuck was his deal?
What do you mean was his deal?
Like, was he just trying to serve Arthur? Did he even care about anything? I didn't care for. Have you ever seen the first? Have you ever seen The First Night? The movie The First Night with Sean Connery and Richard Gere. It's like basically the romance part of this, like the love triangle of King Arthur and Lancelot.
No, I've not seen it.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. Recommend it.
Well, I didn't have a problem understanding Lancelot. He was like the ultimate knight. He didn't care about like power or like money or sex in the broad speaking of the term, right? He wasn't just trying to get laid all the time.
Did though.
No, I'm getting there. I understand you're going to talk about his relationship with one particular person. That's his one Achilles heel, right? He doesn't care about.
Did you think he loved her? Like, that's what I'm saying. He's like, I love you, I can't because I love my king.
That's the whole point of the plot is he sees her.
No, I know, but I didn't buy it with the actor. The actor did not sell it, and their relationship in the movie didn't sell it at all. It was like they hardly spoken to each other or even looked at each other.
That was on purpose. Lancelot was trying to avoid her because he wanted to resist temptation. That's why he didn't go back to the round table. I don't know. I didn't have a problem accepting that plot point. Like, he loves her instantly. He tells her, I don't want to be with any of these women in front of me. I don't want to be with any other woman. You're the one I love. But I can't love you because you're the king's wife. You're the queen. So I'm just going to not ever love anybody. But
I think he was in love with Arthur.
Okay.
Like you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
So then why did he go with his... He slept with her to get to him? Was that
she kind of seduced him a little bit? Yeah.
They fall in love instantly. They have that love at first sight look.
Rocks. Out on the rocks.
They just look at each other and they're like, oh,
you ever made love out of rocks outside in the dirt and the grass? You ever done that?
Sounds lovely.
It sounds not great.
That's how real men do it, Eric.
Maybe we should try it. Like
maybe use a bed. Real men just need rocks.
Like Adam and Eve, just out on the dirt and the rocks, butt naked. To try it.
Hey, Adam and Eve, that's probably an apt little metaphor. But I mean, I understood his deal. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I got confused afterwards when we see him 20 years later or however long it is. I don't know. Where he's like, the knights ruined the kingdom. Like, wasn't that you? Didn't you do it because you boned the king's wife? Is that actually on you, buddy?
Yeah, didn't get that at all. What was he doing? Yeah. And then he comes back like 20 years later after that, and he's back fighting with them again.
Yeah. And then he dies a hero's death. And another really anticlimactic battle at the very end. If there was a battle that should have been a little longer and better, that's the one at the very end that should have been.
The one that was 100% smoke?
Yes. That's the one I found frustrating. I don't mind that they kind of yada yada through some of it, but that was the one. This is your showdown with your like evil son, Antichrist character. Like, that should have been better.
Yeah.
That's one I wanted. That should have been more epic and grandiose.
So, well, hold on a second. I just thought of this. So Arthur has a child with his sister.
That's right. Incest.
Sister.
And his son then... Wait, no, his son would have to impregnate his wife, right? I was just trying to make an ensemble comparison. Is it a very similar plot?
Yeah, the son would have to get Guinevere pregnant.
That's right.
Find her in the castle she's at, where she's a nun or whatever, and make her pregnant.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Love thinking about that movie.
Yeah. It all comes back to that.
Everything does. But we get I don't know, the Lancelot eventually we get what's his face? Taken guy, can't think of his name. Liam
Neeson.
Yeah.
Percival, or
he was all mad for some reason. I don't.
Gawain. He was Gawain. That's right.
Yeah, he was the guy from Green Knight, right? If that's the same character.
Garwan. Yeah.
But yeah, he's mad because there's this theme that people forget, right? Like, you live in the good times, you kind of forget what it was like when things were bad. So people get kind of spoiled, and they have the Knights of the Round. They're supposed to get together and tell tales and make sure everybody remembers what it was like beforehand, to remember all the stories of their valor. But Lancelot doesn't show up because he doesn't want to be by Guinevere because he can't deal with the temptation. So he just excludes himself from that situation. That really bothers Gawain for some reason, Liam Neeson. And he accuses Guinevere for having cheated when she hadn't yet. And then we get the stupid trial by combat, like, no man who is true can lose in combat. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. You're right. If you have the truth on your side, you will necessarily win. That makes perfect sense. But we get one of the few little bits of the one-on-one combat is kind of fun because it feels like, you can feel the weight of everybody's like armor and getting smacked with a jousting rod or whatever they're called.
Lance.
Yeah, I guess. It looks painful and awkward in the way that they have these flailing fights where everybody's just got this heavy thing on. They can't swing fast. Nobody looks particularly graceful when they're wearing the knight armor. I really like it, but Lancelot shows up having stabbed himself. I didn't understand that. Maybe we can pause there. So Lancelot's tormented.
He fought himself.
Like Luke fought Darth Vader. This is another Empire Strikes Back moment when Luke is in Dagobah and he fights Darth Vader, but really it's his face under the mask. I thought exactly of that scene in Empire. But I mean, he was just dreaming and stabbed himself, or he was awake. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I get it was
didn't
metaphorical.
Arthur stab him?
No.
Oh.
After they slept
there,
with.
though.
Yeah, he was there.
No, anyway, he shows up to the battle with Liam Neeson wounded and just barely wins. Liam Neeson yields, and then Lancelot collapses.
And then Guinevere is so moved by this that she decides to bone him down.
Well, after Merlin decides to save him, and Arthur's like, "Please save him. Please save Lancelot." Merlin's like, "Okay, there's going to be side effect here." But yes, she's like, "I'm so grateful for what he did." She rides off, has rock sex in the middle of the woods.
Raw dog and rock sex.
Yeah. And Arthur knows it's happening. And he sees it, and he sees him do it. And we give her a second. It looks like he's maybe going to stab them both, but he just shoves Excalibur between the two. And they wake up and see the sword between them. They realize he was there. And then Lancelot runs off in distress and
naked.
Just totally naked. Leaves his armor, leaves his sword, just goes deranged. And Guinevere becomes a nun or whatever. I don't know what she does. She just runs off somewhere too.
She takes Excalibur with her though.
She does.
Right.
She has it for like 20 years, keeping it safe. While the
England burns
and crumbles.
Well, yes, because Arthur is the land, right? So how Arthur's doing is how the land's doing. If he's happy, the land's happy. If he's bummed out, the land gets depressed. Flowers die.
Yep.
And then is that when?
Well, Helen Mirren was destroying.
We haven't really introduced her. Yeah. So Helen Mirren is his half sister who's got the sight, and she's kind of hectoring Merlin all throughout the movie to learn more about magic because she's got this skills.
A pretty foxy Helen Mirren. I didn't realize she was such a banger.
You realize she was a smoke show? Oh
no, I did not.
I'm glad you learned.
Why was Merlin helping her? They seemed to be enemies. They were certainly frenemies. They didn't seem like they got along, but yet Merlin helped her at some point.
Well, eventually she convinced Merlin to go to the Dragon's Realm.
Tutored her.
Yeah, he tutored her even though she was clearly up to no good.
Yeah, he had to know it was coming, but he knows his time's coming to an end. Right before so they go to the Dragon's Realm. There's this weird metaphor of the dragon, which is like Earth or what? I don't know what it is. I don't know what the dragon is.
It's all around us, Ben.
It's like the Force.
Chasing the dragon.
It's the Force.
It's the Force, whatever. But he talks to Arthur, who's trying to figure out what to do about his wife cheating on him with his best friend. And then Merlin's like, "You're never going to see me again." And Merlin knows, I guess, what's about to happen. He's like, my age is ending. It's going to be Age of Man, which is definitely a Lord of the Rings theme. Like, magic's about to go from the world. It's going to be just all about men making choices. So anyway, he knows she's going to do weird stuff. But they go to this weird realm when he shows her what everything looks like and everything is, and she traps him somehow in ice. I don't really get how it happened. She gets him to say something, she says something, and then he gets trapped in ice, and that's it.
Well, I think in the lore, she takes his magic or something.
His manhood.
His magic, he had a charm or something, and she took it.
The charm of making? Is that it?
Yes, the charm of making. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah. And then she leaves and has all this power that she doesn't know what to do with, and she tricks her brother into having sex with her. He's asleep, and this is one of those spots where I really needed a little more from the movie narrative wise. Like, they bone and she gets pregnant.
I had to rewind it. I was like, wait, what happened?
Wait, because you needed to watch that, Helen Mirren, because you're so foxy?
Yeah. No, I just didn't. And then because she was immediately pregnant and having the baby. Like, the next scene, the baby's coming out of her. I was like, what? Did I miss something?
So I'm like, did he know he had sex with her and not Guinevere? He had to know, right? So they just let her be pregnant? They didn't expel her from the castle? She just got to hang around as the demon baby was born? And then they're going to kill it, I guess. But then lightning bolts appear and strike Arthur. And then she, I guess, takes the baby and leaves. We don't see, right? We see Arthur get struck by lightning. And then we don't see the characters again for,
but then Percival finds her, right? Later on.
Yes.
When he's looking for the Grail.
The Grail, right? That's Percival, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Percival, the guy who shows up in the middle of the movie chasing Lancelot.
Right.
Like a weirdo. So Arthur's like, woo, he's like, the only way we get out of this is if we find the Holy Grail. Like, we have to get rid of paganism. We have to move on to being Christians or whatever. and everybody looks, and everybody's dying. Percival's like the last one looking, and he finds this weirdo kid. It made me think of C-3PO. He had this golden armor, and he's laughing in the woods. Are you looking for the Grail? Follow me.
That was Charlie Boorman, John Boorman's son, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, and all his whole family. It's a family affair.
Yeah.
Regular Judd Apatow there. And he gets to a cave where there's all these dead knights. And I mean, there's some cool shots in there. I mean, before we even get to there, Percival's like, sees a knight outside a cave and he thinks somebody's found the Grail, and it's just a knight who's frozen to death in some mountain. It's one of those times where I think the vagueness works. We don't really know where they're looking. I don't know how far they're looking. I don't know why they think the Grail is even in England. It could be in the Middle East, right? I mean, it could be somewhere far away. That's where we get like a weird Crusades reference. But he gets tempted. He's going to get hung. And then because the, rope is just so worn, it snaps and he survives. Runs into Lancelot, who's crazed and running a riot of angry peasants who are starving to death before he gets baptized, and then finds the Grail. Where? I don't know. Just gets pushed in a river, gets baptized, finds the Grail, brings it back to Arthur, who peps right up. Just like Theoden in Two Towers. And then we get our big, exciting conclusion. Although there's some stuff I love. Like Merlin shows up one last time in dreams, becomes a dream figure, and he challenges Morgana.
Force ghost.
Yeah, he's a Force ghost. Exactly right. See? There we go. He's a Force ghost. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Can't come back in person, but he can come back as an abstraction. But he challenges Morgana to release the dragon's breath, and he realizes she's been using charms to keep herself young and beautiful. She blows out the dragon's breath. It freaks out the demon kid, who goes to ask his mom about it. And then she's super old, older than I think she should be. She's like 7 or 8 years older than Arthur, who maybe Arthur is 50. She seems way too old for 57, but she's just full on old hag at that point.
Well, it's like the old knight in the last Indiana Jones movie, She just aged rapidly.
I guess she lost the magic, but the implication I thought was that was her true age, but yeah, maybe it wore her out using the magic, so she aged faster. I don't know. I thought she looked too old.
Well, because didn't Merlin say after he does the spell for Gabriel Byrne that he was like out for a long time?
9 days. It took him 9 days.
To recover. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and she isn't as powerful as Merlin. She's just using some stolen magic. But anyway, she looks really old, and then her son sees her and chokes her, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty depressing death. Choked to death by your own son who doesn't recognize you because you're super old all of a sudden. And then we get our bizarre fight in the mist. Where I guess the good guys win. I mean, it's
it's incredible. I got to watch the movie and then I got to hear you describe everything that happened. This is really a treat for me. I got it twice.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I honestly didn't really love this movie.
That's fine. It's got problems. It's got a lot.
There were times. You're right. I think that it had some cool visuals. I mean, the mist was stupid, but it looked really cool.
Yes.
The castles were cool. Like the armor looked great. But yeah, so some of the acting was really bad, and the action was just laughably stupid. And it was either like not enough of the like psychedelics or sort of surrealist stuff, but also too much at the same time.
You needed to pick. You wanted to be clearly we're going to be methodical and take this more like into actual historical drama, or be weirder and crazier.
The Green Knight has a lot of that in it, and I think that works really well in that movie because it's also still like very serious. This movie was too goofy.
Well, yeah, I think it's unintentionally goofy. There are a couple times where it's intentionally goofy. Merlin, I think, is intentionally goofy. I think he's being portrayed as a quack. I think the Arthur sequence when he pulls out the sword is also deliberately goofy. I don't know why they decided to do it that way, but I think that was what they wanted to do. And there's other times it's just, it's deathly serious. I don't know. It's a chonky mess. It is trying to cover a lot of ground, and it's haphazard, and it's all over the place. It really is kind of a mess. I mean, the most clear example of it needing just the last sequence, as you say it really does. It was a letdown. It should have been a lot more tactical. Lancelot should have shown up earlier. They should, oh my God, Lancelot's here. We should have gotten a moment before that where they don't get to talk proper, but they high five each other or something stupid, like not a high five, but like a whatever knights would do, a forearm bump. I don't care. There should have been something where they come in like, oh, Lancelot can run this charge. There should have been a lot more tactics involved, and there wasn't. It was just a bunch of guys flailing in the fog, which did look cool. And I like Arthur and his evil son stabbing each other, canceling each other out. I mean, I thought that looked cool, and it was a compelling way to make them die. But it was a mess. I mean, it is a mess. It's too much ground to cover.
I thought the ultimate ending was pretty funny in that Percival was tasked with throwing the Excalibur into a body of calm water. So even though they're by the shore, Percival runs around and finds some place to throw it away, but then he doesn't, and he comes back to Arthur, who's still dying on the battlefield.
And why the doubt? Yeah, why show him get to the water and be like, I'm not going to do it, and then come by Arthur's like, no, I need you to do it, man.
Yeah, Arthur's still dying days later. Who knows?
I don't know. Even though he was stabbed right in the middle of his fucking stomach or chest, I don't think he had long for the world. Yeah, it's very, very goofy. And then he gets back to Arthur a second time, and he's been put on a boat with 3 ladies who are doing this and going where?
Avalon, baby.
I guess. We don't know.
Is that heaven or? Okay.
Maybe. Pagan heaven, whatever that is. I don't know.
Valhalla?
Sure. I don't know.
I have a question. This maybe is a really stupid question. Is King Arthur like a real thing? Like, was he a real dude?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
In the same way as was Jesus a real dude? Is it in that kind of deal, or is there?
I think there's a lot more evidence that Jesus was a real person than Arthur was a real person. I mean, I'm not certain, and I think Arthur could have been based off of a real person, but I don't think we believe there was an actual Arthur that was king in England in.
So it's just some sort of story that has continued on.
Yeah, it's like a creation narrative for England. A lot of civilizations have this, right? When you create a government, you create this grandiose myth about how and why you started it and the people that created it.
And the round table.
Yeah, and it just became this legend that people used to bind the culture together.
Wikipedia says King Arthur was traditionally accepted as a historic person. He was originally thought to have been an ancient British war commander in the early 12th century.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I'm wrong.
That's from Wikipedia.
Okay. Ancient British war commander from the 12th century, so 1100 and something. Okay.
Post Jesus, though.
Way post Jesus.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Jesus was already a big deal.
So
well before
there would
this.
there would be more actual evidence of Arthur than Jesus.
But I don't know that there is. I don't know if people care as much. There are a lot of people who care about Jesus being real. I don't know how many people are really bothered by whether Arthur is real.
It's crazy to think of how long ago that actually was,
Yeah.
We're talking centuries. Many centuries.
Getting close to 1,000 years almost. I mean, 800 years. Or almost
a long time, man. That's a long ass time.
A lot has happened since that. But yeah, Christianity wasn't some vague thing. And that's the part I liked about this movie is the end of paganism. It's the paganism's last gasp. It's wrapped up in the Arthur legend, where they just go full Christian. But there's a lot of overlap. It wasn't even until Christianity became a bigger deal in the 3rd century. Was Constantine was the Roman emperor who made Christianity the official religion. They got rid of the Roman gods. There was a Catholic church by this point doing stuff. I don't know. England was isolated. I don't know. I don't know. I think this movie was a mess, but a glorious mess is my. I like this movie a lot. It's almost every criticism you have is correct, at least most of them. But I didn't care because I thought it was really fun, and I enjoyed it. I loved the way it looked and felt, even if it is narratively just too scattershot, helter skelter. It just kind of floated through. I don't think it was supposed to be like a mythic dream kind of thing. I mean, I think that's also what he was going for. Like, feels like, oh, did I just watch this? Where am I at now? I'm kind of in a dream. It's like if you're inside the dream story, this is what it would feel like. I don't know. But it's a mess. And the last battle is really disappointing. It should have been a lot more epic and fun. What do you think, Kevin?
I was kind of stuck in no man's land with this movie. I couldn't tell if it was a good, bad movie or a bad, good movie. It was just kind of somewhere in that range where I couldn't decide. So I'm giving it 2.5 stars, just right in the center. It was goofy at times. It was very serious at times. And it was, I mean, you're right. It's an interesting looking movie. And it had nice visuals, but overall, it is a mess. It is a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 2 stars, but for all the same reasons that you said. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, I like this movie better than I think it should be rated. Like, this movie, I thought about it. I enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it. But it was riddled with messes. So it's tough. If you give my heart says 4, but my head says 3. So decide. I mean, 4 has to do with how much I loved the movie. It was kind of what I was looking for. I wanted a bit of a mess. I didn't view that as a deep problem. But realistically, it's got structural issues. It's trying to cover too much ground in too haphazard of a way that it's a problem. Structurally. Biggest thing. Acting, I thought was okay. I didn't have as many acting problems, I guess, as you did, Eric.
I didn't like the Arthur guy. Did you think he carried the movie?
No, but the movie didn't try to have him carry the movie. I mean, because it goes through so fast. Yeah, he doesn't give any epic speeches. He has like a couple of conversations. Yeah, I didn't see what was so great about Arthur. What made him a great king? As one of the many, like, what was so special about him?
He had a fucking sword.
Yeah, he had, okay. It was like,
but he hardly used the damn thing.
He has the sword because he's so great. He's so great because he has the sword. I didn't understand what made him a great king. Why is this guy so noteworthy? He wasn't like the best fighter. He made peace with the guy early on. Okay. He realized his fault, I guess, when he used Excalibur to defeat Lancelot. Like, oh, I was being vain and shitty, which healed the sword. Yeah, it didn't make sense, but the movie wasn't trying to like make Arthur make it. He's like, yeah, my job is just to be a character in a story. That's really what I live. I'm a living metaphor.
Wouldn't you like some actual character? Some.
Sure, that's a problem, but I don't think it didn't bother me on a deep psychological level. I was like, hey, we're just gonna drift through this legend.
He had to play like from teenager to 60s or whatever.
Yeah,
that's true.
I thought he did okay doing that.
It's like the Luke Skywalker. Like, is Mark Hamill maybe the weakest part of the whole thing? There's nothing to him. He's just like
he's a cipher.
Yeah,
sure, and maybe that's what Arthur is too. But I guess I'm not going to blame the actor for the problem. That I think it probably has to do with direction and writing. Like, the problems with me are those two.
Yeah, but if this like Harrison Ford is Arthur, better movie. No, would he be able to play a bumbling 18-year-old who's like, oh, I just found the sword in the stone? He'd do it cool. I don't know.
He'd do it cool, right? You're saying he'd do it differently than the director wanted it, because the director wanted it goofy.
Well, maybe.
You don't think that? Okay. Well, this is where I think John Boorman made a ton of choices in this movie, and some of them are goofy and weird. But I think this movie played out how John Boorman. I mean, there's a 3-hour. The original cut of this was 3 hours long, so an additional.
It was 220. It was 220.
40 minutes of stuff was cut out.
A long movie.
So I think this is his vision. I don't think this is like some studio input. I don't think he's like, this guy sucks, so I have to do it goofy. That's not how I want to do it. I think this is what he wanted to do. Harrison Ford would be better for the kind of movie you wanted, Eric. You want a cool leader who does cool fights with his buddies, and they fight a bunch of shitty guys and win battles, and they wisecrack and they have fun. You want the gang to get together.
That sounds great.
Play some other nights. That's what you want. Den of Thieves, medieval times. That's fine.
Are you kidding me? Are you making this movie?
Sign this
I'll
up
watch it right now. I'm down. That's
not what this movie was trying to do, and I'm glad it wasn't that. I mean, A Knight's Tale exists. I do with what's his face,
Heath Ledger.
That's a goofy, fun movie about a guy who gets in fights. Braveheart exists. Yeah, it's got the better action sequences. You get the Titanic hero. It didn't want to do that. I'm glad it didn't do that. I liked that it was dreamlike and weird, but it's a mess. It is just too much a mess. It's too much ground to cover. It didn't pick a lane, either stylistically from like, I'm going to do historical fiction or I'm going to be super abstract. It didn't say I want to just cover a smaller set of his life, because you could have done that. You could have just started with Arthur showing up and then done some backstory about how he was born. You don't have to do the additional stuff with Uther. And give you a little more. We could have done this a bunch of different ways to expand on stuff. Could have explained the Merlin and Morgana conflict a little bit better, flushed out more, but I liked it.
Yeah,
I
maybe that's in the 40 minutes they cut out.
Yeah, I don't know. And it couldn't be much longer anyway. It is pretty long. But I enjoyed it.
I saw on Wikipedia that this is Zack Snyder's favorite movie.
I saw that too.
That made me laugh.
And a lot of Batman versus Superman is based off of this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen Batman versus Superman.
Well, I know Superman gets stabbed with a spear. And he does kind of die in the same way that Arthur does.
Like a kryptonite spear?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he also stab Batman at the same time?
No, Deathstalker. What's the guy that killed Superman? Darkseid? No.
Yeah.
Darkseid's the guy he fights later.
Doomsday?
Something like that, yeah. You guys don't remember waiting in line buying the Superman's Dead comic book with the little plastic on it? No,
I did not do that.
Back in the day?
I was too busy like hanging out with people and not being a fucking nerd
cool
loser.
guy. Oh, yeah. Wow. And the cornfields.
I was going to parties, drinking beers,
crushing beers.
Well, you're like, I gotta get the latest issue. Superman is dead. I wait in line. I've got to get an express copy.
Wow,
with your nerd friends.
I waited in line at Midway Books on University and Selling and bought a copy of that.
Nice.
What a nerd.
Well, with my brother, but
nerd cred.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete.
Yeah.
There you have it. I don't know. I think this is worth a watch. People haven't seen it, even though it's a mess. It's not. I think it's worth watching, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. I thought it was wild. I enjoyed it. It's what I was looking for, even if it wasn't great.
Okay.
Man,
fair.
You right the ship, Eric. You're picking next. So get us a good movie.
All right. Next movie I'm picking. This movie came out in 1978.
1978. Is it Star Wars?
No, that was 77. Okay.
This movie has a connection to the state of Kansas.
Is this Superman?
It is Superman. You're right.
Oh wow. All right.
Okay.
It's on Max, the Max streaming service. If you want to watch it. It's got Gene Hackman's. Gene Hackman just passed away, sadly,
and a very sad death. One of the saddest I've heard of. It's brutal.
I don't know all the details. I know there's some.
His wife died first. She died of hantavirus.
Yep.
and he had Alzheimer's apparently, so he didn't really know what was happening. His dementia.
So he lived for another week, just kind of aimlessly in his apartment, flailing, not knowing what's going on with his Alzheimer's before he like starved to death or something.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then a dog died also because it, I think, died of thirst because it was in a cage and didn't get taken care of.
Oh God, that's awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
So there we go. Anyway,
Jeez,
Superman's a happy movie.
Way to bring it down. Yeah, and they're making a remake of Superman's also coming out this summer. So I thought, let's watch the original. I haven't seen it for a very long time. Interesting fact, the screenplay and story by is Mario Puzo, the guy that wrote the Godfather book.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we also get Marlon Brando, right? Is he in this one?
Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
He plays his dad.
He gets paid $1 million or something like that.
For, a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah,
all right.
So, Superman.
All right. Talking the OG Superman. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.